Hi there team, Coach Alexa here. So, talking about knees. Now knees are basically hinge joints. I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview of the really complicated anatomy, but it's all to hold together a hinge joint. So you can see in this kind of scan here, the thigh bone coming down from the top, the larger tibia bone, the smaller fibula bone coming up from the bottom, and the kneecap floating around the front. And all of that is basically acting like a hinge joint. So unlike the ankle and the hip, which have much more complicated ranges of motion, the knee just bends and straightens, and that's all it's really designed to do. It does not particularly like sideways movements and rotational movements. So that's what the hip and the ankle are trying to do. So we'll look a little bit more in the anatomy and just kind of see how that pans out. So this diagram here on the left-hand side, this is the front of your leg. So you can see the kneecap here is a bit of a point of reference. This is the front, and you can see these are the big quad muscles. So you can, there's quads because there's 4 of them, quad muscles that all merge onto a tendon with the kneecap embedded in the middle of it, that then attach on the very top of your shin bone, actually, down here. It's all sorts of other muscles that wrap round the knee, but these quads kind of basically attach over the front of the knee joint. There's muscles coming up from the front and the side of the shins that we kind of touched on in my lower leg anatomy video that wrap around the side. You can just see this white bit, oh, she says moving it, this white bit down the outside here, which is your IT band, again, just attaches below the knee, provides stability to the knee, as well as smaller muscles that go around the inside and down the backs of the leg. So this leg is actually the opposite way around. So these are your hamstrings coming down the back, and you can see they curve and attach on the back of the below the knee. The biggest quad muscle here also goes and attaches underneath, and they kind of overlap each other, these hamstrings and the bigger quad muscle. So basically all of these muscles, big muscles, are attaching across the knee joint, which provides a huge amount of strength and the ability to effectively build your own knee brace. So leg strength is really, really key for keeping our knees literally pointing in the right direction, allowing them to always be pointing forwards and doing their job, which is going straight forwards and backwards and bending and straightening and not having to wobble around or twist or move sideways. As is always the case with these muscular sort of diagrams, if you've watched my previous couple of videos, there's always an extra layer underneath, so you can then start to see, as we take sort of layers away, you can start to see that there's a whole lot of other stuff actually in the knee joint itself here. So you can see the gap between the 2 bones here within the knee joint, the tibial kind of platform on the bottom of the femur here. So you can start to see another level of stuff that's going on underneath. So this next set of diagrams really starts to kind of explode it even more. And this isn't even the whole picture, so I'm just giving you a few snapshots here. I'm missing out a few different layers. So let's start with this diagram on the right. So this is the outside of your knee. So if somebody was looking at the outside of your knee joint, so not the bit that's closest to your centre line, the outside, again you can see that we've got our iliotibial band, or IT band for short, that's coming down here, attaching onto the top of the tibia, and we've got lots of different muscles and tendons that are wrapping around the knee, and then there's the cartilage and the structures within the knee joint themselves. Lots of ligaments are kind of attaching in different areas, lots of tendons attaching in different areas to provide that knee with lots of support. And this is another kind of blown up view of where the knee ligaments start to get really complicated. So this is just the stuff that goes around the outside of the knee joint. There's other ligaments that kind of cross over. You might have heard your ACL, PCL, cruciate ligaments. So these cross over within the knee joint, but this diagram is just showing you some of the smaller muscles that just sit to stabilise the knee right underneath all the bigger muscles we looked at previously, and all of the ligaments that start to kind of hold that whole knee joint capsule together. So hugely brilliant and complicated, but also again worth bearing in mind the fact that if you get knee pain, it could be any of these structures that are causing that. So the biggest thing I think to bear in mind for knees is that they love bending and straightening. They're effectively a hinge joint. They don't really like sideways movements and rotational movements. So the stronger you can get the muscles, all of the big leg muscles, the big calves and the quads and the hamstrings that cross over the knee joint, the happier that knee is going to be, because there it's basically building your own knee brace, providing that knee joint with more stability. And also working into the hips and ankles and stability work will mean that the knee's in a much happier position. And to finish on, a lot of studies have now shown pretty unequivocally that running isn't bad for your knees. Running loading is actually good for your joints, for your cartilage, for your bones. You do have to manage it carefully. Running is a high impact sport, so we don't want to do too much too soon. We want to have a sensible plan and recovery scheduled in and all that sort of good stuff. But actually, running alongside strength training, amazingly good for our knee joints. I hope that's useful. Happy running.